dude that you guys were talking about my teammate, bashing my teammate Khabib.
We're bashing your teammate Khabib.
Yeah, earlier you were talking about, I had just got the link now, so I just saw you guys were bashing my teammate, calling him scared to fight and should be stepping up as a champion. And
now you're saying we're taking shots at Khabib because we think that he ducked this fight. Is that what you're saying?
So the link I got was hearing you say that it was that he should step up as a champion and that he's scared, and that I can tell you this. So many radio personalities. I love what they do. I respect what you guys do. I respect you guys.
Thank you.
Wanting to create a controversy or wanting to just give your opinion and voice it to the public, which is honorable. But what that man does behind the scenes, my brother Khabib is absolutely one of the greatest teammates, one of the greatest helping hands you could ever meet, always goes above and beyond for others. And then to hear his name slandered by people and by reporters, journalists, and because they want to see a fight, they forget that people actually compete and have a life outside of the cage, and that in the cage they are notarized for their ability of accomplishment. There's a whole nother life outside of the cage that fighters have that, people don't understand. And it seems like whenever someone is putting something priority over the cage, you guys bash their name and discredit them and call them scared. When, before everybody was talking shit about Justin Gaethje, and then as soon as he started getting some win streaks, all of a sudden he's talking down. He has an amazing fight with Tony Ferguson, but nobody sees it in all of us fighters that work our ass off, but they want to talk all that shit and never want to understand that there's a whole lot more that goes into it. So my question was, where was the substance that you had, or where was the investigative journalism that you guys had to bash him, call him a coward, or tell him he should step up? I guess I'm asking, what drew that opinion to where you wanted to voice that publicly and bash my teammate?
Well, first of all, we weren't bashing Khabib. We think that Khabib did duck and weave this fight. That's just our opinion. Now, does that mean we're 100% right? We're not sitting and hanging out with Khabib and asking him the situation. We understand that his father is very, very sick, and we understand the background of Khabib. His family is in Russia, and we all know that. And I'm not taking shots at his personality as a fighter, because I love Khabib as a fighter. I've respected him as a wrestler, and I look at him as a guy, an ambassador for the UFC. But when it comes to Tony Ferguson, in my opinion, he's been ducking and weaving him. That's just my opinion. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you know more than I do. But what we've seen, that there should have been 5 fights. 5 fights with Khabib versus Ferguson. And it never happened. Now, 3 times, 2 of the times, he dehydrated, right? Khabib dehydrated. Am I right?
I guess you can. If that's your opinion. Obviously there are circumstances and weight cuts.
I'm sure. Yes.
Have you guys ever competed before?
I have. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys? You have. So if you've cut weight in any sport, whether that be anything, and you're in any type of an elite athlete, and you put your body through a certain type of regimen, and your body's going to respond or it's not going to. This just happened to be, everybody has a difference to respond. What happened with my brother Khabib, or whatever situation was, that's between them and the coaches and what happened. And the powers that be just never saw. So whether the fight happens or not, you can't discredit a man's track record because of fan-based spectacle that people want to see a fight. If you're telling me that Justin Gaethje can outstrike Tony Ferguson for 5 rounds, you're going to tell me that my teammate can't demolish him? It wouldn't have been. It doesn't matter. And you have your casuals and you have your hardcore, and then you have your actual athletes. You ask any athlete across the board, it's not about, yes, we want to do everything we can to impress the fans. We want to do everything we can to get those showstopper finishes. But at the end of the day, you want us to die and publicly kill ourselves to a sport that we love, that we're passionate about, and as soon as we make an unpopular decision, you just shit on our name.
First of all, Justin, and by the way, I just want to give first of all, I want to introduce you, because I don't know if the fans know who you are. We are talking to Justin Ruin, teammate of Khabib.
Out of AKA.
Of AKA. So I'm not taking shots at Khabib as a person, even as a fighter.
Nobody's ever said anything about the talent of Khabib in regards to how good of a fighter. I don't know what link it was that you watched, but I believe it was last week when we gave the pound for pound top 5. Khabib was in there. So we never, to use your term,
Slandered
shit on
him, yes.
as a fighter. We never did. Because we constantly talk about how this matchup seems like it's not happening.
And it's probably never going to happen.
It's probably been being talked about for the last year.
Last year? It's been talked about for the last 3 years.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
So I know it's not just us. I know there are a lot of people that have been wondering why is this fight not happening. It's always usually a comment that comes up during press conferences and pressers that Dana White has to somewhat come up with an answer for. So we're not discrediting or, as you say, shitting on him as a fighter. That's not what we're doing.
No, and
we're talking about how the matchup seems to be cursed or plagued that it's not happening.
And here's another thing. And Justin, again, we respect fighters because we both were fighters. And actually, Anthony is in the MMA Hall of Fame.
Martial Arts Hall of Fame.
Yes, martial arts.
But with that being said, I'm a referee. I've been a referee and things like that. So I'm around fighters and everything. So I respect what everybody does. We all know the games that promoters play. We all know what happens behind the scenes and everything. So we're not taking that out of the fold either and putting all of the blame on Khabib, just to make that clear. Mm-hmm. We're not. Because if you also have heard our show, out of everybody, and it's not Khabib, trust me, Khabib is not public enemy number 1 with us. It's not. It's usually Dana White playing his games with the matchups.
Mm-hmm. And you can
actually go back and hear that.
When I had got a link, and when a teammate of mine sends me a link saying, "Hey, somebody's talking shit about Khabib, about our brother," he's the one who, to tell you all the link I got and what I heard, the clip that I got, the 35 seconds to a minute is you hear you guys saying that he's scared and should step up to be a champion.
Yes,
and that a real
we have and by the way, Justin, and I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, so I'll let you talk in just 1 second. In our opinion, that's our opinion. Now, that doesn't mean that it's absolutely true. There's no fact to anything that we talk about because factual stuff, we can't go inside. We can't go inside a camp and ask questions because they won't let us. But what we see as fans and as analysts, what we read in our thoughts, we think that he's been ducking and weaving Ferguson. Maybe it's a mismatch. I don't know. But that doesn't mean we don't like Khabib. That doesn't mean that I don't respect him as a fighter. And slandering him as a fighter, I've never slandered Khabib. A matter of fact, I loved when he choked out Conor McGregor. This guy right beside me loves Conor McGregor. I can't stand the I don't even want to say it, the mofo, okay? I can't stand him. And I loved when Khabib choked him out. I loved it. And I loved when he jumped out in the audience and tried to attack his team because they deserve it because all they do is talk crap. I've also been threatened by Conor McGregor himself on social media and his team, and they could kiss my ass too. But as far as I'm concerned, as a Khabib supporter, because I have been a Khabib supporter for years, I just think that he does not want to fight for Tony Ferguson because I think in his eyes, he's a mismatch. That's my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. But does that make me a bad guy because I think that? I wouldn't say that. Just like I respect you for calling the show and sticking up for Khabib. So I respect you for that.
I mean, you're absolutely right on being entitled to your opinion. I mean, 100%. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to it. Everyone's entitled to give their opinion publicly, but when it came to my teammate, it just was like, he's the one who got me. Who got me my UFC debut. He's the one who got me. I mean, and he's not comfortable. He's out here taking care of business, taking care of real business when it comes to being a family man, when it comes to being a teammate, when it comes to being there for his father. And then you have...
I respect him for that. I'm going to let you know that. I respect him. My father... Justin, my father died 3 years ago.
He doesn't want to fight. You're saying that he doesn't want to fight Ferguson because of legal allegations or medical allegations of being able to come back to the country and not being able to do that. I mean, that's completely separate from, being able to fight. And I mean, when it comes down to it, people have investigative journalism and investigative reports. I mean, you could have easily gone down to the gym. You could have spoke with Dwayne Zinkin and sent him an email and been like, hey man, I want to, let's send him an email. Let's figure out what's going on. Then to voice, yes, you're absolutely right. You're entitled to your opinion.
Justin,
100%.
Justin, let me ask you a question. Honest to God, if we asked you to reach out to your team's coaches and you asked them to come on our show, would they?
What do you mean? If I asked them?
Yeah, because you're part of that.
100%.
I'm being serious.
When we are in people in need, when we are in need, if we go to our coaches, we're a family. We're not just a team. We're not just
I respect that.
Cavemen. We're a family. And when people talk shit, he may not say nothing, but I will. He may not punch someone in the mouth, but I will.
I respect that, and again, and you know this more than anything as a media guy, and I've been an analyst for almost 9 years, okay? And I've been a fighter. I've been a semi-pro hockey player. If I didn't hurt my knee, I'd be playing professional hockey. So I know what it is to be on the top of my game. I understand that. And even as an amateur fighter, I was an 8-0 amateur, and as a boxer, I was 23-0-1 as a boxer, okay? So I know what it is to compete. And I'm not taking shots at you or your team. As a matter of fact, I'm happy that you called. You know why? Because it gives me the understanding that some people actually do listen and understand that we have our own opinions towards what's going on, not only in MMA, but sports. But you're absolutely right. We don't know Khabib personally as a person, but I could tell you there's something else. I lost my father 3 years ago. Okay? I lost my father. And he died at 55 years old, man. And I know what it's like. Thank you. I know what it's like to lose somebody and lose somebody really deep, deep to my heart. And the reason why I talk sports, one of the reasons why is my father, who kept pushing me to do what I do. And I'll tell you this right now. I respect you for calling the show. I absolutely do. And sticking up for your teammate, because it shows me that you are not only a man, but you're showing me that you really do care about what people are saying about your partner, your brother, and who he is as a fighter. But again, we're not taking shots at them as a person. We're not even taking shots at him as a fighter. We're just saying that in our thought, and maybe it is Dana White. Maybe Dana White's behind all of this. I don't know. Okay, and I will repeat myself. I'm not a big Dana White fan, but I also
that's the thing too. Is like people talk. That's the thing, is that Dana's Dana, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, people talk shit. Mm-hmm. People talk shit. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you are who you are on the camera.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, some guys sell it when the camera's on. Some guys are just sincere in who they are when it's off and when it's on. Doesn't matter. Dana's Dana, man. He absolutely bleeds for this business. He absolutely loves and cares for the fighters. He's willing to help out anybody. He's just, when you draw the line, you draw the line. Business is business at the end of the day. And
Justin.
You can't agree on business.
Justin. You want to say something, Anthony?
Please, Justin. Like we said before, we respect the fact that you called in to defend your teammate. I will give you that. The other thing you have to understand, and I'm sure you do, especially being where you're at, when it comes to opinions, when it comes to the media, a lot of the stuff that we get and a lot of the stuff that we speak on is based on what's presented and what's brought public. That's why when it comes to investigating journalism and stuff like that, the word investigating is very, I would say, vague in regards to how much access you could get to certain things.
You're really thinking that when it comes to the lightweight division, and it comes to representing an organization, and it comes to being a champion of champions, when it comes to just the ability to compete at the elite level and do it time and time again, and do it in a dominant fashion for years, everybody's going to come up with their own damn excuse to figure out, how do we stop this guy? Journalists do it with GSP. Journalists did it with Cain Velasquez, and then as soon as he lost, he was indestructible. As soon as he lost, he's just a human. Khabib's not just a fighter. And what irks me about when journalists or when people come on their podcast and whatever they say, they give their opinion. To me, it's like, yeah, we're quick to call in. We're quick to say something when our brother's being talked about, when he does more for people than half the people do.